all now welcome aboard.
Good morning, gentle people, and welcome on the channel. I'm Val, and today I will show you how to paint your Stars and Bars insignias using the Kit Masx airbrush stencils. Kit Masx allows you to select between genuine Tamiya tape or mask flexible vinyl. For me, personally, I give a slight preference to the vinyl due to their higher transparency level, which makes their positioning a little bit easier, and the fact that if you want to use one vinyl twice on the same model, it's still possible, while with the Tamiya tape, that option is very difficult. Whatever the choice, vinyl or Tamiya tape, you will find 5 different sizes and 4 sets for each size. Moreover, Kit Masx also thought about you and provides you with transfer tape. I will show you what is transfer tape in that video. Okay, let's jump right in, and in this tutorial I will show you the process I used with the Tamiya tape. The process will be exactly the same with vinyls. So the very first point is to identify which size you need. The easiest and quickest way to know about it is just to look at your decals and to compare them with the different stencils you have. So in this particular tutorial, I needed for my P40 the 36 inches present on the sheets 9 and 10 and the 30 inches present on the sheets 1, 2, 3 and 4. To paint those Stars and Bars insignias, here are the colors I used. For the white, a mix of insignia white and white, the ratio is 50-50. For the red, I use flat red but with a little touch of sea blue. And for the blue, I use a mix of flat blue and sea blue. Let's say that the ratio is 3 parts of blue for 2 parts of sea blue. To paint one set of Stars and Bars, you need 3 stencils. So there are 3 steps. And I started by cutting all 3 different stencils with my hobby knife. It's really easy to do, you just have to follow the cut marks on the stencils. Let's now identify each stencil with a number, 1, 2, 3. And very important here for the beginners or those who do not know about it, you have to identify clearly where is the top of each stencil. Why that? Because those Stars and Bars insignias are not symmetrical. The roundel is nicely located laterally in the middle of the insignia, but it's not located in the middle vertically. In the vertical plane, this roundel is located a little bit below the center line of the bars, which makes the upper part smaller than the lower part. If you do not see it and it's not clear at that scale, and unfortunately you position your first stencil upside down, then at the end of the process, while trying to position the star, you will notice that the star won't be aligned with the bars, but will be slightly higher. Repeat this process for stencil 2 and 3, the third one being easier, of course, given the star has to be pointed upwards. Okay, we are good to go. Now we will prepare what is called the transfer tape. Transfer tape is another tape that will come on top of the stencil. Its only purpose will be to stiffen, to give more rigidity to your stencil, once you will remove it from its support paper, so that while transferring your stencil from its support paper towards the model, your stencil won't suffer any deformation. You can reuse that transfer tape for stencil 1, 2 and 3, but personally I just used it twice and I used another transfer tape for the third stencil. Time has now come to position our stencil nicely on the model, and that's perhaps the most difficult part of the job, or at least the part that requires the most precision. The idea here is to use as many marking points on the model to position the stencil correctly. To achieve a precise positioning, we use panel lines and rivet lines on the model, and we transfer those references on our stencil. So in this particular case of my P40, I've got a panel line on top of the fuselage that will be used to align the center line of the star. And I also have a nice panel line running alongside the fuselage that will be used to align the horizontal bars of the insignia. Let's now apply our transfer tape on top of our stencil, but first, to reduce a little bit the thickness of this transfer tape, I will apply it twice on my forearm. It's very important to do that to be able to remove that transfer tape from the stencil more easily after a correct positioning on the model. Let's now make sure this transfer tape sticks correctly to our stencil prior to remove the support paper of the stencil. That operation is rather easy, and I do advise you to remove the complete stencil from the paper. Okay, our stencil is now ready to be applied on the model. Do not reduce the thickness of the stencil. Apply it like it is, so the thickness of the stencil is just perfect. That's now that your preparation phase work will pay. Just identify on your model the different reference lines you have selected, the rivet lines or the panel lines that are necessary to position your stencil correctly. Proceed very calmly and without pressure to be sure that your stencil is perfectly aligned. Once the position is correct, and only at that time, you can apply pressure on the stencil. Its application should be natural and without tension. Just let it flat on the surface of the model, and only afterwards you can apply a slight pressure to make it follow the model surface nicely. We start to apply pressure on the different parts of the stencil just to make it follow the natural shape of the model. Okay, we can now remove our transfer tape, so it's not necessary anymore. Do it slowly and with caution, do it progressively, just to be sure not to remove your stencil or to avoid to modify its shape. You can also remove now the center part of the stencil, which will be painted with our first color. Personally, I also like at that time to apply a little bit of pressure with a silicone brush on all the stencil boundaries, just to be sure that there won't be any paint leak below the stencil. That is rather important to my point of view, especially if you have a protruding details, like here for example the radio compartment hatch, which is located just aft of the white line. That is really the kind of location where you can find some paint leaks if you do not apply pressure. To help the further positioning of stencil number 2, I also placed two little pieces of Tamiya tape alongside this first stencil. Those lines will help me to guide my work when positioning stencil number 2 and number 3. You will also notice that the stencils have small holes on their corners. Those holes are used to cross-check the nice positioning of the next stencils later on. So the idea is to position small pieces of Tamiya tape below these holes and to give them a black dot. Repeat this process for the four corners if you manage to do it. For me, in that case, one of the corners was really too far out on the other side of the fuselage, so it was not really efficient, let's say. We are now ready to paint our first layer, and as you can see, I just masked correctly the surrounding parts of my stencil. The first color to be applied is the red color, but given red is not a color that pops out nicely, especially on a dark surface, and it's not covering that much, I like to apply a first white coat underneath. I work with low pressure, something around 1 bar, and I dilute my paint around 60 to 70%. I always start outlining the first stencil boundaries prior to filling the rest of the stencil. It is also very important to work perpendicular to the model surface, just to be sure that all the different corners are nicely painted. Do not work with too much paint flow, just to avoid to have paint leaks through the different panel lines. You should never have the impression that your paint is wet or flowing. Once your paint is fully dry, we can remove the different masks. Working with lacquer paint may accelerate the process, especially if you use an air dryer. Watch out here, while removing your stencil. Do not pull your stencil perpendicular to the surface, but try to remove it slowly while pulling horizontally in the opposite direction. As you can see, the 4 Tamiya tapes at the corners with the black dots stay in position for further alignment with stencil 2 and 3. We can now proceed with stencil number 2, and the process is exactly the same, so just use the same reference lines to help positioning the stencil on the model. Don't forget to use your transfer tape prior to remove the support paper on your stencil. You can reuse the first one you have used with the first stencil. To position the stencil correctly on the model, I didn't use the 4 black dots at each corner. I did prefer to work visually and looking through the stencil. As you can see, the stencil is a little bit transparent and it's sufficient to allow for a nice positioning. Once I thought the positioning was correct, I applied pressure on the stencil and I only used the 4 black dots to check that positioning was correct. As you may have noticed, I always transfer the complete stencil and I remove the center parts only after the transfer. We will now apply our white mixture, ratio 50-50, insignia white and pure white. To win some time at masking your model, I really advise you to use parafilm, which is that kind of transparent plastic film you can see on the tail of my P40. It's a kind of stretchable vinyl. It's really cheap and you will go a very long time with it. The biggest advantage parafilm has with regard to Tamiya tape is that it doesn't stick really on the surface. It's just stretched and then it retracts on the model, so there is no risk of damaging your paint. It is also much quicker than working with Tamiya tape. Step 2 is done and we can jump to the last stencil. As I said initially, I used a new transfer tape for this last step, as the last one was not sticking anymore at all. Just like for step number 2, I worked by transparency to align my stencil. I started to align the horizontal arm of the stars on the 2 horizontal bars and then checking up and down that the stars' extremities were nicely in contact with the red circle. Again here, the complete stencil was transferred to the model, so it is necessary now to remove the areas that will be painted. Why did I work that way? Well, it's just to reduce the risk of having the shape of the stencil that is modified during the transfer. Transferring the complete stencil will maintain its structural integrity. Our last color, 3 parts of flat blue, 2 parts of sea blue. Despite the good positioning of the different stencils, you might notice some imperfection while unmasking your stars and bars. Generally speaking, those imperfections are really tiny, and you can correct them easily with a paintbrush afterwards with the same color. It's now time to play a little bit with the opacity of your paint to create some weathering effect in your blue, according to your needs, of course. In this specific case, the stars and bars were pretty new and neat, as those red outlines, insignias, had been repainted in 1943. Okay, here is the moment of truth, a little moment of anxiety, but honestly, those stencils are really good stuffs, and if you apply the right method, you shouldn't have any bad surprise at the end of the process. As you can see here, there are some minor corrections to be applied with the paintbrush. That's completely normal and it's not a big problem at all. As I told you at the very beginning of that tutorial, you can also opt for the vinyl stencil instead of the Tamiya tape. These are a little bit more rigid and more transparent, so I guess for me the positioning was a little bit easier. But with regard to the rest of the procedure, that is exactly the same process. Okay guys, I will conclude this tutorial just by saying that Kit Masx has other great products to be used with your airbrush. Okay chaps, I will conclude this tutorial just by saying that Kit Masx has other great products to be used with your airbrush, just like those military aircraft numbers. So it gives you the possibility to create your own tail numbers, for example, so do not hesitate to check their website. Thanks for watching, greetings from Portugal, ciao ciao.